guys thought of...
This is a CBS News special report. Dan Rather with an update on the presidential election. We're on the air because Vice President Al Gore is about to speak to reporters outside his official residence in Washington. This takes place against a backdrop of Dateline Tallahassee, Florida. A Florida judge has set a hearing for late this afternoon on whether to dramatically speed up the presidential election contest. Leon County Circuit Judge Sanders Sauls has scheduled the hearing for 5 p.m. Eastern Time today. This hearing comes after Vice President Gore's lawyers filed another motion to speed up the challenge of the so far certified election results. What the lawyers want is they want several judges in Leon County to start counting disputed ballots immediately, and of course they're making efforts to have counting of ballots in several other counties, including Miami-Dade. So it's against that backdrop that Vice President Gore will be appearing. There was a bit of a dust-up with some demonstrators outside the vice presidential residence, but apparently that was very brief and was put down immediately.
As I described last night, since Election Day, we have had a single fundamental goal: to ensure a complete count of all of the votes cast in Florida. Not recount after recount, as some have charged, but a single full and accurate count. That is a purpose that extends far beyond the borders of Florida, because we know that what is done in Florida sends a message as to how we will govern ourselves as Americans. The American people have shown great patience in these extraordinary days. They understand the importance of getting this election right. That is why we have asked the Florida courts to recognize what observers of this process know to be true. That is, that the state of Florida has certified a vote count that is neither complete nor accurate. I understand that this process needs to be completed in a way that is expeditious as well as fair. We cannot jeopardize an orderly transition of power to the next administration, nor need we do so. 2 weeks ago, I proposed to forego any legal challenge if Governor Bush would let a complete and accurate count go forward, either in the counties where it was proposed or in the full state of Florida. He rejected that proposal and instead became the first to file lawsuits, and now 2 weeks later, thousands of votes still have not been counted. This morning, we have proposed to the court in Tallahassee a plan to have all the ballots counted in 7 days, starting tomorrow morning, and to have the court proceedings fully completed 1 or 2 days after that. Let me repeat the essence of our proposal today. 7 days starting tomorrow for a full and accurate count of all the votes. Once we have that full and accurate count of the ballots cast, then we will know who our next president is, and our country can move forward. Unfortunately, just about an hour ago, Governor Bush's lawyers rejected this proposal. Instead, they have proposed 2 weeks of additional court proceedings and additional hearings right up to the December 12th deadline for seating electors, and under their plan, none of the thousands of votes that remain to be counted would be counted at all. I believe this is a time to count every vote and not to run out the clock. This is not a time for delay, obstruction, and procedural roadblocks. As I've said, I believe it's essential to our country that there be no question, no cloud over the head of the next president, whether it be me or Governor Bush. We need to be able to say that there is no legitimate question as to who won this election, so that we can bring this country together. That is what we seek, and so I urge Governor Bush to support our proposal to bring this process to a fair, expeditious, and truly democratic conclusion. Thank you. Be glad to take just 2 or 3 questions, and then I'm...
In terms of your challenge in Miami-Dade, what is wrong with Republicans showing up at the election canvassing board and expressing their displeasure at the process?
Well, I think we all saw the videotape, and and audio recordings of that incident, and I think everybody can make his or her own judgment about it, but that question is going to be decided, or at least looked at, by the court in Tallahassee. The more important question is, why not count all the votes? As I said last evening, this is America. When people vote, their votes are counted. They're not arbitrarily set aside because it's hard to count them, or for whatever reason. They're counted, and these votes were cast, and they have not been counted. Why not count them?
Do you feel that there is a... Jackson and Congressman Charlie Rangel are alleging that hundreds of black voters may have been disenfranchised. Heretofore, we've heard allegations that procedures have been violated. Do you believe, sir, that the voting rights law was violated here?
Well, the right to vote has been protected by the law, and especially in states with a pattern of such problems. The NAACP had sessions there where stories were told and evidence of sorts was presented. I do not know whether they plan to go forward with that or not. Basically, I don't know the answer to your question. I've heard the same stories that you have, but we did not include those matters in the proceedings that we took before the court yesterday because the evidence was not there in the same way it was with these other matters.
Vice President Gore outside the vice presidential residence in Washington, D.C., underscoring what his lawyers have requested from a judge, state judge in Florida, and that is a speed-up of the counting of votes, and that would include a resumption, of course, of the counting of votes. A judge has scheduled a hearing at 5 p.m. Eastern Time today on whether to dramatically speed up the process. The Vice President is asking the Florida courts for 7 days starting tomorrow to get what he calls uncounted votes, votes he says have never been counted. The Bush team disputes that, but the Vice President has to get those votes counted. He says it can be done in 7 days if the courts will order that done. There'll be more about this, of course, on this CBS station, in your local newscast, and on tonight's CBS Evening News. For now, Dan Rather, CBS News, New York.
For news 24 hours a day, CBS.com on the internet and on our interactive partner, America Online, at keyword CBS News.